don't you use positive reinforcement training?
Okay, so if, I do love dogs, you're right, and the reason, okay, so the question is if you love dogs so much, then why don't you use purely positive reinforcement training? That's a good question, and the reason why I don't do purely positive reinforcement training is simply because I do love dogs so much. And we're going to talk about that in a couple different shades. So let's say you're driving and you're on vacation with your family, you got the kids in the back, you got your wife, you got your husband, you got your boyfriend, whatever it may be, and you're driving, and let's say you have a Ford, I have a Ford, that makes sense. So you're driving your Ford and you're on vacation, you just left your vacation spot, and you're driving and you're just about to leave to head home, and all of a sudden you hear a clunk, 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 and all of a sudden your engine light comes on. Right? And you're thinking, oh God, steam starts coming up, you can just barely move. You pull over, you Google a place, it says auto repair, garage, maybe it has tires up there too. And then what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, well, that's where we're going to go. It's the only one in town, that's our only option. So you stutter, you get all the way there, and the guy's there, and he says, oh, you tell him everything that's going on. You say, hey, I got this truck here. You know, we just got on vacation. All our stuff's in here. The engine light just came on. It's making all sorts of funny noises. And the guy says, well, you know, I can probably help you out. I only really specifically kind of work on Chevys, and you have a Ford, but I'll take a look at it and see what we can figure out. So the mechanic calls you and he says, hey, I got to keep your truck overnight. We're really working on this. We can't really figure it out. And that's all the really information he gives you. And you say, oh, the kids are excited, what's one more night in vacation town, right? That makes sense. So then the next day, you said, okay, I got to get back to work, you guys got to get back home, and you go in there at 8 o'clock in the morning when they open, and the guy says, look, I really can't figure out what's going on, and I have all this stuff that I have done though, and you look at it, you do basic stuff that pretty much any shop can do. You've changed the wipers, you've topped off the fluid, you've checked the tire pressure, things like that pretty much anybody can do. And then what happens is you look at the bill and it's $2,000 or something like that. And you look at the guy and you say, hey, I appreciate you doing all these things, but I didn't really ask for that, and I still can't get home because my engine is not working. It's still on. There's still this problem, right? And the guy kind of retaliates and says, well, sir, you have to understand that there's no other way that I can help you because I'm a Chevy guy, and that's all we drive here is Chevys, and you have a Ford. So your problem, what you have to do here is you simply have to trade it in, or you're going to have to find somewhere else. And you say, well, there's nowhere else around in 100 miles. And you trade it in, you could go across to the Chevy dealership, trade it in, get a new one, and dispose of it. Right? And so now you and your family are stuck because the mechanic that has this auto body shop that you looked up online that has 50 gold stars on Google and YouTube and Facebook, and what happens is now you have to do something. You can't figure it out. And how frustrating is that? You have an issue that the person said that they're a mechanic can fix, but he's only a mechanic for Chevys and not Fords, right? And so I'm breaking down the concept of being very purely one side or the other. And when we talk about the definition of purely, which will pop up here in the corner of the definition of purely, positive reinforcement training means that you are exclusively only going to work with one type of anything, right? And so this transfers to, now you got a guy stuck with his family on Hopeless Island because the guy can't work on Fords, he only works on Chevys, right? So he's one-dimensional, and what he can do, his tools only fit this type of thing. His nuts and bolts only go in Chevys, not Fords. So what is a guy supposed to do with his family stuck here? The Ford's not running. You have a bunch of things to do. This is realistic stuff, guys. I mean, is this all making sense? Right? I mean, what you're doing is you're basically saying, I have an issue with this, but the guy over here has a board, and he says, I'm a mechanic, and I can do tires. And you go in, but he can only do Chevys. That's all he can do. And you have an issue with your Ford. And you have nobody else around. And let's talk about the differences between a mechanic shop as far as how many there are versus dog training facilities. So the point is you have a problem, a specific problem, and you bring it to a professional mechanic because that's what they do or what you think they do. Little do you know, they only have one way of doing things because that's what they like. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, it puts you in a position of strandedness and abandonment of, well, what am I supposed to do? Because I don't have what pertains to what you went to school for, what you particularly like, or what your mechanics work on. And you just gave me a bill of a bunch of stuff I really didn't need. I didn't need my wipers fixed, but thank you. And now, so you have this bill, and the specifics weren't fixed only because it was out of your comfort zone. So now we're going to switch to the dog side, okay? So let's completely transfer over the same thing, except with the dog, okay? So you get a dog. It's a beautiful little puppy from the shelter that everyone felt so sorry for. The kids love the dog. The humans love the puppy. Your neighbors, everyone loves this friggin' puppy. And it's now your profile picture on Facebook, which makes it so official it's not even funny. So everyone knows about this dog. You're talking about it at work. You have this relationship. Put yourself in this situation right now at home, guys, and really think about it. You love this dog, right? Just like you love your dog at home. And all of a sudden, you're noticing, okay, the dog's starting to kind of like nip at people and bite at people and really just go after people's legs. And it's new. And it's like, whoa, you know, oh my gosh, we love this dog. What's happening? Is it becoming aggressive? What's happening with this dog? What's happening with this puppy? And then what we do is we go online, just like we would with the mechanic, and we say, hey, I need a dog trainer. And you look it up. And you get Joe Schmo over here, Cindy Lou over here, and we go to Cindy Lou and we say, hey, I got this issue, you know, you're a dog trainer, great, I see it on the sign, just like I saw the mechanic down in Vacationville, and that really didn't work out, but I see that you're a dog trainer, can I come in? And, oh yeah, sure, you pay the bill, you start training, and you start fixing wipers, you start topping off fuel, you start checking pressure gauges on the tires. Meaning you learn sit, you learn stay, you learn place, you learn down. Training is going fantastic, right? And anybody can get, I mean, my little daughter, this big, if you're a family man, your littlest daughter, your littlest son, can make this dog sit and stay for anything. But however, we still have this issue of the biting. The dog is still biting, right? The forward is still broken. You guys follow what I'm saying, right? And so what's happening is you look up Google and you got 50 gold stars. Hell, Oprah's been here. Obama's been here. Michelle Pfeiffer's been here, right? Oh crap, like this place is great. Let's go here. But we're changing wipers, checking pressure, and feeling gauges, right? Like, so my point is this, guys, is if the professional, and we're talking about professionalism again, if the professional on their board and on their business card says that they're a trainer, which they may be, and they may be very, very good, but only with Chevys. You guys follow what I'm saying here? So what that means is the dog owner comes in and says, hey, we got this beloved dog. I see that you're one of the only dog trainers in town and everyone loves you. Can you please help us? Yeah, sure. That's what we do. We do training. Sure. And we start changing wipers. Do you guys follow what I'm saying? Is this making sense, right? So hold your comments, but this makes sense, right? And it transfers. Because now what happens is we're here, we've invested, we trust, more importantly, this person because they're a professional dog trainer, right? And I can say this because I've had study cases on this 150 times, right? So I'm not poking, I'm talking to you guys as a student or as another colleague out in public. And so we're at this training facility, we've paid all this money, we've been here for 6 months, and my dog knows sit, stay, wait. Again, my dog knows all of this stuff, very, very good. But I'm still having this issue. Well, but wait a minute, sir, I only do one style of something. I only purely do one thing. And it could be, and again, this is versatile, guys. You could be purely negative and couldn't fix, you know, how to teach your dog sit because you're a negative trainer, or it could simply be you're purely positive and you can't correct the dog for biting ankles, right? And so my point here is this, is if you are a professional anything and you're one-dimensional and you're purely, exclusively only do one thing, and you're trying to, and this is for the people out there, you guys that are working with your dogs at home, and you're trying to get into the dog industry, think about it. If you're working like just with one type of tool, one tool, I only have one screwdriver to fix the entire truck, how are you going to make that work? Right? And so realistically, the point, and so I want you guys at home, again, pretend I don't do education and pretend I am not a trainer. I just want to talk to you guys about, you know, what makes sense and what doesn't. And a lot of you guys are like, holy crap, that makes sense, right? And so when you get a one-dimensional type of person and they put a billboard up and they put advertisement out of like, hey, we can help you, and you go in and all of a sudden you got a Ford and they do Chevys and they say, and here's my issue with the dogs, guys. Here's my big thing, right? This is why I'm doing this, why I'm telling you this now, is because what we do, if it's out of our category of what we can do as trainers, is we say, I'm sorry, the Smiths, I can't help you. You got this beautiful puppy, but he knows down and he knows sit. But I'm sorry, he's going to bite ankles forever. Or, you can just get rid of him. And all of a sudden you think about changing your profile picture on your Facebook. The kids are crying. The wife is sad. It's causing issues. Before you know it, you're home drinking whiskey by yourself. And my point is this, as I want you guys out there to know, as dog owners and anybody getting into the dog training world, is that you have to understand that there's many, many ways of doing things. And I don't believe that one way or the other way is completely right or wrong. But if you can't do a little bit of both, then what does that tell you about you and your business and your versatility with these animals? I mean, it's for real. I mean, it's crazy. I know most of you guys are like, holy crap, and a type of training. And I've used purely positive reinforcement to sculpt puppies to do certain behaviors. But then there becomes a certain point where they're like, screw you, I don't care about that anymore. And then you got to switch. You got to be able to switch gears. You got to take out a different tool. And I've used toys and boxes and tug toys to take out aggression, to say, okay, don't bite the person, bite the thing. But that only goes so far. And I can say that, guys, because I've taken all these dogs from all over the country and have done seminars all over the world, and I've talked to people about the extent of where things end and where you just are a Chevy shop and where you just are a Ford shop. You have to be versatile. And if you're not versatile and you can't admit that there are other ways of doing things and you have certain limitations because you've caused yourself and you've put yourself under, I am purely this, or I am all natural that, or I am only corrective and disciplinary. If you do that on any level, if you're all correction or you're all positive or you're all tug and you're all voice, it doesn't matter. The point is if you limit yourself to one style, at the end of the day, the only thing that's really going to suffer is the dog. And I think people get into business and they become so consumed with how their numbers are and they're so consumed with all these things. But I see what happens to the dog when they come to me after all of that. And I see what it emotionally does to the owner, because they come in and they say, I went down to the Ford shop, I went down to the Chevy shop, but I got a Mitsubishi here, and I got a Toyota here. How am I supposed to? They said I can't, and we're thinking about killing it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really? And I've seen hundreds of thousands of dogs be killed, statistically across the country, because we set limitations of what we can do as dog professionals or dog trainers. And I think it's garbage for us to put ourselves in those standards. If you want to do purely one thing, do it. Please do it, because there is so much value in foundational imprinting with purely positive reinforcement behaviors, sculpting things, not correcting things, being very fun. Absolutely, I do that all the time, but I only don't do that, right? Because I'm versatile. If somebody brings me in any type of fucking car, I'll fix it, because I have different tools. I have every tool in the toolbook to help with these dogs, and if I can't, I'll figure it out. If I call myself professional and somebody comes in and says, I can't fix it, go kill it. The dogs are suffering because of this, and we have to take a little bit more responsibility, and we have to put your big pants on and be a big boy and be a big girl, and just understand that there are other ways of doing things. And because your way isn't getting the dog to the certain destination or the owner's certain destination, doesn't mean it can't happen. That just means it's out of your comfort zone. It means that you weren't taught how to do it. It has nothing to do with your experience or how good you are. Nothing to do with that. It means that you're specifically supposed to be doing one thing and one thing only. And if everybody stayed in those lanes and said, I can't, but maybe this person can, or I send people all over the place because I don't do puppies. If my other trainer is full, which we are right now, they go to other training facilities because I don't do puppies, right? I focus on what I'm good at. And I just want people out there to understand. I want the dog owners to understand that if you walk into a dog training facility and they say that this is the only way to do something, and they say that if you do that, that's wrong, and if you do this, that's wrong, how about you just go somewhere that makes sense? Go to a place that makes sense to you. Go to a place that shows you results. If you're not getting results in 1 to 2 weeks, you're on the wrong place. I've had people work 6 to 7 months getting fed and fed and fed, just feeding them the corn about, you have to do it this way. This is the way it has to be done, because of their limitations, because of their boundaries, because of their comfort zone. It's all selfish acts of humans. Humans ruin everything. And at the end of the day, the only person that's hurt is the dog and the family that think they can't get over this hump because of the less comfort that the person has that's teaching them these things. I mean, it's for real. I mean, it's crazy. I know most of you guys are like, holy crap, you know? And the reason why it becomes such a battle is because politics change over, it's a bit political, because if you're Republican or Democrat or one side or the other, you naturally, because of the world that we live in, aren't gonna like the other party because they're disagreeing with what you're doing. And unfortunately for the dogs, not for me because I really don't care, and not for anybody else, but for the dogs, it's one-dimensional, which means if you don't fit in the criteria of what they believe that they should be doing, what happens to the dogs? Guys, hundreds of thousands of dogs are killed each year because you brought a Ford to a Chevy shop.